I'm Cameron Howlett and I'm a graduate in the financial services industry. At the moment I'm working in a business development team within a mergers and acquisitions function.
My name is Jasmine. I am a senior consultant in the investment advisory team at Deloitte.
Clive Cooper, Global Head of Platform Sales at Ansarada.
I'm Tess Rogers. I work at Westpac and I'm a graduate in Global Transaction Services in the Institutional Bank.
James Flatter, Business Development Associate at Aberdeen Standard Investments Australia.
I think there's a lot of misconceptions about the profitability and the impact that the financial services industry makes to our country. I think that when you look at just how much they provide, whether it's through payouts of dividends or the investment that we make in communities, it's really hard to get that cut through when you see $10 billion profits each year. And so I think there is really more work that can be done by banks and the financial services industry to share that good news story. But sometimes I don't think people really want to hear that. So it's about being able to connect on their level and also get the fundamentals right.
There's a lot of work being done for increasing diversity across the industry and those sorts of things. And also, giving back to charity and doing events and things like that. But I just don't feel like the message gets out there. But at the same time, there is this perception that banks particularly are trying to be liked.
As a professional, I would like to be one of the 11 ASX 200 women CEOs, at which point I hope that it would be more than 11 women CEOs in that list.
I don't have a specific career plan, I don't have a specific job title in mind or anything like that. I enjoy challenges and I enjoy new experiences.
So specifically in relation to a gender pay gap, that's not something I think about. What I think about is effectively equity for all. So I think that sometimes we can get caught up in looking at gender inequality when I think it's just as valuable to look at minority inequality. There is definitely a lot of work that can be done, and I think that while gender pay gap is a significant part of that, rather than challenging one of a number of issues in the same realm, potentially looking at it a bit more holistically can put everyone on the same foot.
I know it exists and it is a concern, particularly being a female, but at the same time it's also an opportunity to be one of the people that breaks through that barrier, to be a person that demands more if I think I'm being underpaid. But I think it's also going to change with greater flexibility. There's a big emphasis at the moment on flexible working and different hours and part-time and full-time, and trying not to let that impact your career. But there's also the other side where it's encouraging men to take on a more homely role, which is often where I think the gender gap comes into play. And so I think there are a lot of steps being taken to improve it. It is a concern, but it's also something that allows me to feel empowered in asking for more.
I can think about my previous roles in other companies in which I haven't been given the same opportunities as, let's say, the other males in my team.
It's a really tough question. I think there's a lot that can be done, but I think you need to temper that with the fact that majority of the organisations that are in the financial services industry are 10,000 people plus, and when you have that many people in one organisation, you're going to have quite a large cross-section of society. Some are going to be less than friendly people and some are going to be incredibly inclusive. So if you work to that gap in the middle of people who may not be on the bus yet, kind of teach them how to properly engage, how to properly be engaging, and how to really make your workplace inclusive, whether it's through education programs, general engagement in cultural awareness training, anything like that I think really gets them on board, and that'll really help a grassroots effort to making workplaces more engaging, more inclusive, more welcoming.
The financial services industry as a whole, I don't think is doing quite enough to make the workplace a lot more inclusive. I think there are a lot more subtle things other than just the gender equality benchmarks.
The war stories of 30, 40, 50 years ago, the old boys club definitely isn't there anymore. We're seeing a lot more executive teams and actually heads of companies being CEO roles now being female, non-Australian, and it really is adding that diversity, not just at the top but right the way through the organisation.
I'm incredibly excited to see what tech brings, particularly in the financial services industry. I, in my current rotation, am seconded 1 day a week to a fintech that we invest through, and it's just incredible to see how many changes that can make. But I also think that in the next 5 to 10 years at least, we're going to see a lot more financial services in the traditional sense partnering with fintechs, and it's going to be incredible what they achieve together if it's done right.
I am a little bit concerned that it is going to take away some of the entry-level positions and stop people's ability to start low in the company and work their way up, and mean that everyone's going to require a university degree. I'm just not sure that that's always the best method, but it'll be really interesting and it'll be exciting, and I'm sure there'll be a way to figure it out.
I think I am both excited and terrified at what technology is doing for work. Terrified because I think about concepts like machine learning and AI, and I think, geez, is there anything that I do that can't be codified? And in 15 years' time, who knows?
I'm excited in the sense that I think there's going to be a lot more transparency with how the financial services industry operates. I think it'll be a really interesting thing where consumers and people in general are just getting more smarter with how the financial services industry operates,